So today's discussion is going to be about competing, right? And today's topic is kind of weird because a lot of people typically tend to try to seek out a rival, right? And when they find a rival, they try to, hey, I'm going to be the best version of this particular competition, right? I'm going to do the best at this. I'm going to have the most Instagram followers. I'm going to have the most money earned. I'm going to be the fastest runner, right? And what you end up sometimes encountering is what happens when you don't have a rival anymore. What happens when you don't have somebody you're directly competing against? Right? And this is an interesting concept because most human beings need a reason to be better. Once you reach a certain point, it just kind of feels like, why am I still doing this? What's the point, right? And that is where being your own rival ends up becoming really important. And the reason I say this is, I'll take myself for an example, right? I started doing things that got me so far outside of the scope of what I ever expected to be. If you watched some of my earlier videos, you probably heard me discuss about how when I was younger, my vision of success was me getting on board with UPS, right? And if I could get on board with UPS, I would have medical, dental, and vision for free. I would have, raises that were based on how long I'd been there, so my bosses wouldn't be turning me down for pay raises all the time. And it was a very interesting view, when I look back retrospectively, when I look back and see, hey, wow, that was what I viewed was my success. So I had a lot of rivals back then, right? When I was an unloader and the in one of the tractor trailers, my rivals were the rest of the people on my team, and I just wanted to be the fastest unloader. I needed, if he got 2,200 boxes per hour unloaded from the truck, I can't be outdone. I'm going to get 2,500 done, right? And that was what I based myself off of. When I got onto the sort, right, and I started doing sorting for UPS, again, same concept. I competed actually with my unloader because I took a lot of pride in the fact that there weren't any unloaders who could put enough packages on that conveyor belt and send it to me in a short enough time period to where I would be overwhelmed. Like, I could always get the boxes sorted and take that, guys, you can't beat me, right? Even if most of the boxes coming down the line were 45, 50 pounds, I got it, no problem, right? Well, now in my career, it's hard to find a rival, right? Because most of the people who are at the same tier as me or are at a higher tier than me are either substantially older than me. And to put it in perspective, in my last organization, the youngest person next to me was almost 20 years older than me. And in the current organization that I'm a part of right now, people who hold the same level of position as me, pretty much the same thing. At the time of this recording, I'm 37 years old, and I think the youngest person next to me is 50. So, that's a big age difference when you start talking about these are the people that are my peers in the organization I'm at, right? And what I ended up also looking at is, even though, maybe age shouldn't be as much of a factor, but then, they have different values. What's important to them isn't what's important to me. And some of the things that they're willing to do to advance their career are the things that I'm not willing to do because they're a violation of my values, or because I'm here for a different reason than what they are, right? So what I ended up discovering is being my own rival allowed me to constantly be looking at what I'm doing. And it's a more true approach, right? So I honestly asked myself, is what I did the best effort, right? And what I mean by that, when I say best effort, I don't mean working as hard as you can, because sometimes you're being wasteful, right? In project management, we have a term called gold plating, right? Gold plating is when you add additional features or quality standards or whatever else that are far above and beyond what the contract called for, right? Or what the project was requiring. And the problem with gold plating is it's wasteful for resources. It's additional stuff you have to maintain. And if anything goes wrong in the process of gold plating, then it looks like the entire contract or the entire project was failed, not just that little piece that was an extra, right? And a good example of this is think about anytime you go onto an airplane or a hotel and an amenity that was supposed to be available isn't available for you, right? If that amenity was one of the key reasons why you went to that hotel, then you feel like the hotel failed to provide their service, right? So gold plating is not something you want to do. Gold plating is absolutely not. So working extra in that context is something that I don't encourage people to do, right? Don't work harder than you need to achieve the desired result. And this becomes more important the further up you go because you get a lot more work dumped on your plate than what you will reasonably have time to complete. So what does competing with yourself look like, right? So I ask myself a couple different things. I look at, did I do this with the right amount of resources, right? Did I use too many resources? Did I not use enough resources to get this done, right? Did I get this done in the right amount of time? So if I had, let's say, 3 hours to get it done and I got it done in 15 minutes, was that the appropriate use of my time, right? Did I blow the timeline on something else because I doubled down on this and got it done early? Or, was 15 minutes the right amount of time? Was I late on it? Did I get it done in 6 hours instead of 3 hours? And why did that happen, right? The next thing I look at after the resources and time is the quality. Did it meet the intent? Did it meet the objective of what I was being asked to do, right? And I always challenge myself to keep looking at that because sometimes when you start getting into more, what's the word I want to use? When you start getting into more advanced solution designing, right, your clients, your customers, your bosses, whatever language you want to use, they are not always going to articulate what it is that they want clearly enough, right? At this point, this is where you start wearing the expert hat and you have to infer what it is that they are saying. So a lot of times what I'll ask for their business problem. What is the business problem that you're facing in this, right? Once they communicate that business problem to me, I go, why does that business problem affect your organization? Or how does it affect your organization? Why is it something that you want to address right now? And once I manage to get those things together and I design that solution, I rival myself on how does this solution compare to other solutions I provided? Was the implementation on par with other solutions that I've done? I look at the integration for the end users, right? So when I've developed a solution, I want to make sure that the people utilizing the solution understand it, it's easy to use. I want to make things as simple as possible in design because the more simple it is, the harder it is to make mistakes on, right? So I also challenge myself against my values, right? And I make myself align to the values that I hold, the things that I find are most important to me. I constantly measure myself on my ability to accomplish my goals in alignment with my values. In my mind, being a rival to myself means even if I got it done, if I had to violate my values to get it done, then I failed, right? Pure and simple, I failed. There's never a valid excuse for me to violate my personal values to be able to get something accomplished, right? And I hold myself to those expectations on a regular basis. And I found that is a just constant rivalry that always works for me, right? Obviously, this doesn't work for everyone, but once you get to the point where you don't have a good rival anymore and you don't have a reason to keep growing, this is a good way of getting yourself motivated again and challenging yourself to be the best version of yourself that you want to be for you. So thank you and have a good day.